Welcome to Portsmouth Now. I'm your host, Rob Lauer. Behind me is the Intellis Wireless Pavilion, which has just ended another great summer of concerts. But don't think just because we're heading into the fall and winter seasons that there are no more shows to be seen here in Portsmouth. On today's show, we're going to look at some of the city's other outstanding performing arts venues and look at their upcoming seasons. And then we'll drop into the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. All of that's coming up now on Portsmouth Now. Welcome to Portsmouth Now. One of the best places in Hampton Roads to catch the latest Hollywood blockbuster is here at the historic Commodore Theater on High Street in Old Town Portsmouth. During much of the 20th century, theaters like this were found in cities across America, no matter how big or small those cities were, and Portsmouth was no exception. Between the 1920s and the mid-1960s, there were movie theaters up and down High Street. And why wouldn't there have been? Before the age of television, the average American went to the movies 2 or 3 times a week. And in Portsmouth, they had a host of movie theaters to choose from. The Gates Theater, the city's first movie theater, stood at the site of the current TCC Visual Arts Center from the early 1920s until it was destroyed by fire in the mid-1950s. Right across the street from the Gates was the Virginia Theater. Further down High Street was the State Theater, now the home of the Tidewater Bible Way Temple. Another block down on the other side of High Street stood the Lyric Theater, which in an age of racial segregation catered to the African American community, as did the Capitol Theater and the Bland Theater. The Commodore Theater opened in 1945, closed in the early 1970s, was restored and then reopened in 1990. When the Commodore first opened in the mid-1940s, right across the street from it was another historic movie theater. The building behind me was originally the city's first YMCA in the 1850s. And then during the Civil War and World War I, it was briefly and temporarily a hospital. In the 1940s, it was redesigned and opened as the Colony Theater. I remember coming here to see Disney flicks in the 1960s as a small kid. Sometimes the line would extend down High Street all the way to Monumental Methodist Church. There was a big marquee with lights, like the one over on the Commodore, and at nighttime those 2 theaters lit up this entire block of High Street. In the 1970s, the Colony and the other theaters closed down. In the 1980s, Paul Dicklin, ODU's theater department, opened it as a dinner theater. It was very short-lived, and then it was a dance club, a disco, and such. By the early 1990s, it was closed. Later, a storm destroyed the marquee and the facade, and it sat unused for years. All that changed 3 years ago, when the Virginia Youth Symphony Orchestra bought this, reopened it as the New Colony Theater. Now the New Colony Theater is the premier indoor performing arts venue here in Old Town Portsmouth. Susan Winstin is the executive director of the Virginia Youth Symphony, and she is currently pretty much in charge of the New Colony Theater.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to have you here in the New Colony Theater this morning. I'm
glad that the New Colony Theater exists again. You know, I grew up going to the movies here when I was a kid in the 60s, when I was anyway, and the fact, it closed down in the 70s, was briefly a dinner theater, I think, in the mid-80s, then closed down again, was a nightclub for a little bit. That was sort of an ill-fated venture. And then it sort of fell into disrepair, didn't it?
It did. It sat empty for almost 20 years.
Oh, my gosh.
And when my husband and I first walked in here, the place was a disaster.
So what did it look like?
It was filled with old appliances, and apparently a skateboarding group had moved in. So they had ramps going up the walls. And
this was unofficially, I guess. They were just sort of squatting,
I'm not sure how official it was. I mean, who would let them in on purpose?
Right.
But they left numerous souvenirs.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it took months just to get all the garbage out.
Mm-hmm. And was the ceiling in a bad shape or something, or was it just the walls and everything?
The walls were molded. They were covered with plaster. And when we finally got all the plaster off, we found wool insulation.
Wool?
Yes.
Was that from when it was originally the Colony Theater, I suppose?
I have no idea.
I know when it was sort of an Art Deco design originally, the walls were, and so all of that had to be gutted.
Yes, and now we taken down because of mold.
Yeah, and so now it's just sort of the exposed brick, and I'm sure that in years to come something will be done, but it really is sort of a beautiful, warm effect here.
Nothing will be done to it.
So
not a thing. Acoustically, It's fabulous. I wouldn't touch it.
Okay.
Be no changes to the walls.
Oh, great.
The sound is too good in here.
Oh, really? Well, great. So now the Virginia Youth Symphony, they are rehearsing in here almost like every Sunday during...
Sunday afternoons from 2 to 5, and it's an open rehearsal. People are welcome to come in and listen.
Okay.
And knowing that it's a rehearsal.
Okay. And do they do a number of concerts here throughout the year as well?
Yes, we have 5 concerts a year. We do one for Halloween, in which everyone dresses in costume. We decorate the theater. Then we do one for the holidays. Then we have in February a dance concert where we bring professional ballroom dancers in and they dance in the aisles while the kids play. And the audience is welcome to get up and dance with them.
Oh, that's great.
So
That's great.
it's
So
a lot
what
of
is
fun.
what has the turnout been for the concerts and even the rehearsals and all? I would think that would be a great way to spend a Sunday afternoon.
It is. And there's so many wonderful things to do down here on High Street. This is just one of them.
Yeah.
And so people can go have lunch at one of the great restaurants and then come here and hear music.
Oh, that's great. Now I understand that you also, I mean, you have a great stage up here too.
Yes.
I mean, the chairs for the orchestra can be put aside, and you could have other things performing up here as well.
Absolutely, and we're particularly excited to have a Christmas show in here this year.
All right, right. A Southern Christmas Carol is going to be
Yes.
here for 3 weekends.
Yes.
And also, I noticed that you also, there are various like workshops in acting and improvisation, things that are held here throughout the year.
We're beginning a comedy sketch group, an improv troupe that's family friendly. Now you can see improv troops all over the area, but you couldn't bring your kids or your grandparents to them
Right.
without severe embarrassment on both sides. But our improv group depends not on vulgarity for humor, but on intelligence.
But that's good.
So it has to be clean and it's smart. So it's very entertaining, and the final auditions for the troupe will be in October.
Oh, great. Okay.
We've already had several workshops to get people ready for the audition.
And now, have you had other musical acts coming here just for a one-night thing, or to do concerts
Yes.
or anything like
Yes,
that?
we've had several concerts. We had the Drifters in here.
Okay.
Can you believe they're still around? They're like 120, but they're really entertaining.
Can they still sing and move?
They certainly can, and they can still wear those white-colored suits with the shoes to match. And we've had classical groups in here, small groups, piano solos, classical trios. And
So
so
now-
we welcome particularly local entertainment.
Okay, so if there was a local act that was looking for a venue to
Yes.
perform in, they can contact the New Colony.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I guess the goal then is to have this become just a very well used
A
performance
small
venue.
art center. It's intimate. The acoustics are good. It's an ideal place for plays, for concerts, for lectures, we've done poetry readings.
Oh, great. Okay, good, good. Well, I'm wondering, how many do you seat in here?
We seat 250. And
then
every
there's
seat's
that, and
good.
it looks like there's some room too that you could actually put in some extra chairs
Yes,
and
we
things if
can
you
put in
needed.
rows. We can go up to 390.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's our maximum occupancy.
Well, now I'm curious. Okay, so you found this in an awful state when you first moved in here. So how did the walls get stripped down? How did all this happen? These look like brand new seats and things.
Well-
we have carpet on the floor here that I'm sure was not original. So
No. The garbage was taken out by volunteers.
okay.
The orchestra kids and parents came in and helped us, and we filled that dumpster in the back 6 times a day.
And you have a nice big lobby out here too.
Yes, 2 lobbies actually,
Okay.
which gives us an opportunity to bring the audience in out of the weather before they buy a ticket and come into the main lobby.
And then upstairs you have the offices and all. But I know when I was up there also, I noticed that there is a pool table and like a youth room. I guess that's for the Youth Symphony members.
So it gives them something to do during rehearsal breaks.
Okay.
Foosball table and pool table, and
But this
it's fun. Gives the kids a chance to socialize and get to know each other because they're all from different areas. They're from all over the Tidewater area, as far north as Yorktown, and even as far south as some from North Carolina, even though it's the Virginia Youth Symphony.
And now they haven't just performed here, they travel around. Where are some places that they've traveled to perform
Oh,
in
let's
recent
see.
years?
They traveled to Italy,
Oh,
where
wow.
they played in Florence at the consulate, and then in Rome at the ambassador's residence and his little 4th of July party for 3,000 of his closest friends. They played at the Vatican for Pope John Paul II.
Oh, great.
They also played some pre-Olympic events in 2004 in Athens, and then
Wow.
played in the Greek islands. They've been to China, where they played in Beijing and were completely sold out in Shanghai. So that was an exciting trip.
I'd heard of the Virginia Youth Symphony. I did not realize, though, that their home base was here in Portsmouth.
Well, it's only been in the last couple of years that we've been here.
And what do you think of it?
Love it. Okay. Just love it. The nicest people down here in Old Town have just made it a pleasure to be here.
Well, as an Old Town or Portsmouth resident, I'm certainly glad to have you here.
Well, thank you.
Now, people want to find out more about what's happening. Is there a website that they can go to?
We have a website for the theater. It's newcolonytheater.org. And we have a website for the Youth Symphony, which is vyso.us.
Okay, all right. So if you want to find out more information, go to either of those sites. And thank you so much for joining us, Susan.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure. Appreciate you coming over.
Thank you. Every Sunday afternoon, the doors of the New Colony Theater open from 2 to 5 p.m. And the public's invited to come in for free and listen to rehearsals of the Virginia Youth Symphony Orchestra. The theater is also now the permanent home of the critically acclaimed show, A Southern Christmas Carol, that'll play here for 3 weeks in December. And the New Colony Theater also has its own comedy improv troupe. To find out more about the New Colony Theater, simply log onto its website at www.newcolonytheater.org. When we return, we'll look at the performing arts being offered in other venues throughout the city. Stay tuned.
For those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers to help us better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Packers. Viking. Packers. Viking. Packers. Viking.
Red state, blue state, vegan.
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown.
Downtown.
Optimist.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities,
Live.
our families,
United.
even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
Welcome back to Portsmouth Now. Woolard Hall is one of the area's largest and finest entertainment venues. This 2,000-seat concert hall was built in the 1950s as part of the then new Wilson High School. In the late 1980s, it closed for several years, underwent major renovations, and opened as a state-of-the-art concert hall in 1990. Instantly, it attracted big Broadway shows like Les Miserables and other top-tier musical acts. And throughout its history, Woolard Hall has been the home of the Portsmouth Community Concert Series. I'm joined now by Ken Woolard, who is the owner of Way Back Yonder Antiques on High Street in Old Town, and he is also president of the Portsmouth Community Concerts. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much.
So tell me, how long has Portsmouth Community Concerts been around?
Portsmouth Community Concerts was founded here in Portsmouth in 1938 at the old Woodrow Wilson High School.
I had no idea it was that old. Oh, my goodness.
It's upcoming 74th season, and we're one of the oldest arts organizations in Virginia.
Wow. Now, the old Wilson High School, that was the old Harry Hunt High School that stands where...
It was up where the I.C. Norcom is now.
Okay. All right.
That's
So
where
where are the concerts presented now?
They're presented at Woolard Hall and have been since 1955.
Wow. Okay. So what type of facility is Woolard Hall? It's pretty, for those who haven't been there.
For people that don't know, Woolard Hall is a very fine performing arts center. It's a real performing arts center. One might think, since there was a school attached to it, it's just a regular auditorium, but it's not. It was always built as a civic center. It's an aging facility, but acoustics are fantastic there. It seats 1,924 people.
Wow.
It has a real orchestra pit, catwalk, sound box.
I know in the past they've had Broadway shows, and Les Miserables played there for a while back in the 90s.
A lot of history at Woolard Hall. I often introduce our shows with Welcome to Historic Woolard Hall.
So what is going on in historic Woolard Hall this season with Portsmouth Community Concerts?
Well, we have a really exciting season come up, and we've entitled it Enriching Lives Through the Wonderful World of the Performing Arts, and we've shown that here on the brochure. We have 4 concerts planned. And one of the most exciting parts is one can buy a ticket for the whole season for $50.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's...
And if you're a student, $15. And we offer a family membership for 5 people at $110.
So that's all 4 shows for 5 people.
Yes, and we kick off our season on October 12th with Daniel Rodriguez and Maria Kavanaugh. And you might recall Daniel Rodriguez shortly after 9/11. He was the New York city policeman that sang and did many patriotic songs. So we're thrilled to bring him.
Now, he sang at a Yankees game or something, the Star Spangled Banner, and just sort of took the media by storm.
And he's almost become known as America's beloved tenor.
And he's going to be right here in Portsmouth.
Yes, he is.
Great.
And then we have an exciting Christmas program planned on the December 2nd. That's the weekend before the Old Town Holiday Music Festival. And it's Steve Lippia, and it's a Simply Sinatra Christmas. And it should be very exciting. So you'll hear some White Christmas and things of that nature, but he'll also throw in a little rock and roll with it as well.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
And then starting next spring, March 21st, we bring a great show called Tap the Show. And that is the history of tap. And it takes us right up through today to hip hop. So I think this will be for our young concert goers, and I think it'll be really vibrant, really, really fun.
Well, that's interesting because you usually think of community concerts as just instrumentals, classical music, that sort of thing, but you really have a variety coming up.
Well, with our long history, we've done everything from opera to country. I mean, that's what's so fun about it, and it personally means a lot to me because it's exposed me to different genres of music, so it's broadened my personal horizons. We close out the season on May 3rd with a concert. It's classical music, and it's entitled A Far Cry, and they're from Boston. You might say, well, why do we bring classical music to Portsmouth in such a competitive arts market? But what really sold us was not only the quality of their music, but their performance style. They're young, they stand, they dance, and only the cellist is seated. So we're really excited to bring a
So
new
the
spin.
staid, old, very reserved type of approach to classical music
Exactly,
is sort
so
of
it won't be
discarded. It's
sleepy, it'll be
contemporary.
Much like when you watch American Idol and you see the performers standing.
Oh, great.
So we're real excited about that.
All right, so if people want tickets or want to join, is there a website that they can go to? Is there a...
They can visit PortsmouthCommunityConcerts.com, and one can actually print out a brochure there and a membership form. Please feel free to call me here at the business, 398-2700. I'll be happy to assist you.
Okay, and again, what would give us those prices one more time? Because that's a great deal, considering that community theater is $15 a ticket around here.
It is.
For concerts of this caliber.
An adult membership, which includes all 4 concerts, is $50. A student of any age, if you're 80 years old and you're going to college, you can buy a ticket for $15 for all 4 shows. And one of our best sellers are family subscriptions, and that includes 2 adults and 3 students, and it's $110. We also have special giving, and that's called Special Friends. So just say someone would like to donate $500, they would receive 4 tickets with a value of $200, and then would have a tax deduction of $300 because they only received the services on the tickets. So we get our money from grants. Our city also gives us a grant. The state does. But more and more, grant funding to arts organization has been reduced.
Yes.
And the money's going to more human causes, and it makes us have to work harder. We do have advertising opportunities in our program book, and we print about 5,000 or 6,000 of those, and they're given out at all the concerts. Ads are really inexpensive, $75 to $300.
And ticket sales only account for about 25% of your total budget.
I'll call your attention to the quote here.
Yeah.
It's only 25% of our total operating costs.
Okay.
So people coming out and buying a ticket is really important. One more thing I'd like to say is, in 2 seasons, we've really committed to our Portsmouth schools as well as Chesapeake and Suffolk schools. And in 2 seasons, we have had 8,000 Portsmouth school students come to Woolard Hall at no charge to them.
That's fantastic.
And we're so pleased to do that. It's a huge part of our mission, at least half of that. And we know by exposing students to the arts, they go on to be better citizens, they go on to college, and they're much more productive in life. So to us, it's very, very important to bring them in the masses. 2 times we have brought the entire 2nd grade to Woolard Hall. all about 1,800, including teachers and parents, and it's just fascinating when you bring our students together and see them enjoying the arts and learning.
That's great. Well, good. Best of luck on the work in the future.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for sharing us this season, and people should really take advantage of this.
Well, thank you, and we're so thrilled to be here in Portsmouth and be a mainstay in the arts in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
And we're glad to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. For more information on the 2012-2013 Portsmouth Community Concert Series, just log into their website at www.portsmouthcommunityconcerts.com. When we return, we'll drop in on the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame and learn about some of their upcoming events. So stay tuned.
The pain will not control us. It will never break us, define us, or keep us still. Because arthritis can't beat us if we beat it first. In the fight against arthritis, you need a weapon. What's yours? Visit the Arthritis Foundation at fightarthritispain.org.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to Energy Star light bulbs, and you'll realize just how much cash you were really burning through. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov.
Welcome back to Portsmouth Now. Over the past few years, Portsmouth has gained a reputation for being a museum city. In fact, within a few minutes of where I'm standing right now, there are 5 different museums, not to mention restored historical homes. And this intersection of High Street and Middle Street is pretty impressive because 2 of the city's top museums stand here right across the street from one another. On one side of the street is the Children's Museum of Virginia, and across the street is the equally impressive Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. I'm joined now by Eddie Webb, who's the president of the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. Thanks for joining us.
I'm glad to have you here.
Glad to be here. It's my first time inside the museum. I've walked by it for the last few years and sort of marveled at the beauty of the building, but it is really cool in here. So tell us a little bit about the history of the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, the Hall of Fame was started in 1966, and it was really 3 groups that came together to do that. The City of Portsmouth, the colleges and universities in the state of Virginia, and the state legislature. And it was determined at that time that Portsmouth would be the site for it. And we're in a city-owned facility right down the street from 1972.
Very small one.
Very small.
You walk right by it and not see it.
Roughly 6,000 square feet from 72 until 2005 when we moved into this new facility, 35,000 square feet.
Wow, it's gorgeous in here. Now, someone comes into the Sports Hall of Fame, what are they going to see? What types of displays? What activities and things are there to do?
Well, first off, the Hall of Fame was founded on really a 3-fold mission: to honor, to educate, to entertain. The education part is, we'll talk about a little later, of what we're doing today to help the school kids in this area. Entertainment, as we go through later, you'll see there's fun here for kids of all ages. Mm-hmm. But the first thing you'll see when you come in is the honoring, the Hall of Honor, where we recognize all the great athletes that have come from the state of Virginia that have brought fame and recognition to the Commonwealth.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what else? So you move past that. I know that you have displays, different rooms for different sports and things.
Well, downstairs on the first floor, we have a theater, 125-seat theater, which has a video presentation on the history of sports in Virginia. Okay. There is an exhibit on the campus champions, which all the colleges and universities in the state are recognized. There's an exhibit on the Olympians, great moments in Virginia sports history. Mm-hmm. The Sports Center, where you can actually sit in the broadcaster booth and call a game and find out what it's like to be a broadcaster.
That's great.
On the second floor, which is really, I think, the fun floor, mm-hmm. there's NASCAR simulators. There's a Redskin room. If you're a Redskin fan, it's great. There's a gymnasium where the kids can go in and play basketball, or they can go throw a baseball with a radar gun, try to kick a soccer ball, test their passing skills. So there really is something here for kids of all ages.
Well, that's great. Now, I know that you have family fun days, don't you, that you offer, where people can come in Well, tell us a little bit about those.
Well, as I said, you come in here, this is a fun facility, but we like to do things on weekends to encourage families to come together. On October 6th, we're having Baseball Family Fun Day, in which any visitor that comes in with a Norfolk Tides jersey or shirt on it will get a $2 off admissions.
That's great.
In December 1st, we're going to have a Holiday Family Fun Day, in which we'll do a lot of events here, just connected to the celebrating of the Christmas holidays.
Oh, that's great. Now, you mentioned a few moments ago about the education aspect of the museum. So tell us a little bit about that. Are there educational classes? Do you work with the schools? How does that work?
Well, I really think that the best thing that we do to help serve the public is our education programs. We have over 25 programs that are all SOL related. We work with not only the Portsmouth school systems, but also the school systems throughout Hampton Roads to help the kids really achieve their goals in meeting the SOL requirements. One of the areas that we focus on with over half of our programs, and seems to be an area that is of dire need with teachers and kids, is math. And so we have established a math academy, which our slogan is, if you love sports, you'll love math.
But you got to keep score.
Exactly right, exactly right. So we're actually going to do on September the 29th, we're going to do a math teacher's workshop day.
Oh, great.
And on that, October 6th, gave you the wrong date there. October 6th, we're going to do a teacher workshop day in which teachers can come with a guest, get in free, see what's in the museum, but also take part in demonstrations of what we're doing in the classroom so that they can really see firsthand what's going on before they schedule field trips for their kids.
Wow, that's great. Now, I also know that the last weekend of October, Halloween weekend, there was a Museum Madness down in Old Town. And the various museums, the Children's Museum and the Arts Gallery down the street take part in that, but Sports Hall of Fame also takes part in that, don't they?
Oh, no question. I think anybody who knows Portsmouth knows that this is a museum city, and there are tremendous museums in the city, and we will partner with the rest of the museums. That weekend, all visitors 17 and under wear a costume, will get in free.
Well, that's great. Yeah. That's a great deal. So now, one other thing I want to talk to you about, the Hall of Fame gives out achievement awards for student athletes.
Right, that's one of the programs that we do annually. We focus on kids in the middle schools and the high school, boys and girls. We encourage to go to our website and download the nomination form. The deadline for those is November 2nd, but we will pick 4 kids, finalists, for their achievements in the classroom, on the field or court, and in the community as far as their community service. And then in January and February, in our spotlight exhibit downstairs, we will have their display cases out for people to come see the great accomplishments of these kids.
That is fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for telling us about what's going on here, and leave us with what days are you open, what are the hours, prices, and things like that?
We are open on Tuesday through Friday from 10 until 2, Saturday from 10 until 5, and Sundays 1 to 5.
Okay. And if people want to know more, they can just call here?
They can call us here at 393-8031, or they can visit our website and get all the information they need.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Webb.
Okay.
Here's something some of you diehard sports fans might find interesting. The Virginia Sports Hall of Fame rents out for weddings and wedding receptions, with wedding pictures being taken under the big indoor scoreboard with the couple's name up in lights. To find out more about the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame, simply visit their website at the address that's being shown on your screen right now. Well, that's it for today's show. Every month there are dozens of special events taking place in Portsmouth. To find out about any of them, simply log on to www.portsvaevents.com. And then come to Portsmouth, where if you give us a day, we'll give you a vacation. Until next time, I'm your host, Rob Lauer.